You might be scratching your head on this move, but one of the biggest names in NFL analysis has put his stamp on why this is actually a brilliant move for the San Francisco 49ers. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. Very much appreciate all of you for being around here, but be honest. How did you feel when this draft pick was made by the San Francisco 49ers in the 7th round of the 2025 NFL Draft? Quarterback Curtis Rourke out of Indiana, the 227th overall pick. How did you feel in this moment? Because on the one hand, the 49ers, of course, they have genuine needs that still need to be addressed, and they could have done something like that over a potential third string quarterback. On the other hand, the 49ers know better than anybody else the need for a genuine quarterback pipeline. And you're seeing the reason in the headlines right now. And his name, of course, is pick 262, Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. So if you're the GM, why do you give up the opportunity to fill potential needs on your roster to bring in a backup to the backup quarterback? I've got 5 reasons for you later in this video, but first, a person whose opinion you should respect much more than mine had something absolutely fascinating to say about Curtis Rourke, and it was covered by Matt Mayoko. The article is Why Cosell Believes 49ers 7th Round Quarterback is Curtis Rourke is a Good Fit. San Francisco prioritized a quarterback who might not even step on the practice field as a rookie over any available offensive lineman. But it made sense to at least one respected quarterback evaluator. Here's what he said. You could make the argument that he is the most refined and nuanced quarterback in the 2025 draft class, and as far as timing, anticipation, consistently precise ball placement, there you go. I think I said that in the wrong way. But basically saying that this guy is one of the best quarterbacks in the draft in terms of a fit for the San Francisco 49ers in terms of the things that the 49ers are looking for in a quarterback. I thought he showed a strong sense of progression reading. He's mentally tough. He's physically tough. I mean, he played through an ACL, for goodness sake. He had clean footwork, clean balance, not a big arm, but you think about the 49ers offense, I think I pretty much described their passing game, so it made sense that he would go to a team like that. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit of a picture of why the 49ers want him. We're not still there yet. We're not all the way there yet. Rourke played the entire season with the torn ACL, which required surgery after the season. The 49ers selected Rourke with the understanding he might not be available to even begin working in Coach Kyle Shanahan's system in training camp. Rourke was the 13th of 14 quarterbacks chosen in the draft. He completed 69.4% of his pass attempts for 3,042 yards with 29 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Rourke finished 9th in the Heisman Trophy voting after leading Indiana to its best record in school history. He ranked 2nd in college football with 9.5 yards per attempt, behind only Jackson Dart of Ole Miss. Dart was a first-round draft pick. Okay, you're getting closer, but there's still one more thing. I think his traits fit. I said before the draft he'd likely profile as a backup, but if he had to start, his ability to have success would be dependent on the offense. A strong, sustaining run game, quick, rhythm, timing passing game, RPO elements, play action, all those things that the Niners do, so it makes sense. There's your take from Greg Cosell as to why the 49ers would be not just interested in bringing in Curtis Rourke, but why Curtis would also be a great fit for the 49ers and a potential long-term value. You know, these 7th round draft picks are almost always shot in the dark, not totally shot in the dark, but really hoping high upside picks, right? These are guys that you think they might not turn out, but if they do, they'll be huge value to the organization. Which brings me to the question I started this video with, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section on this one. Why would the 49ers draft Curtis Rourke in the 7th round over, and they do this, they draft quarterbacks. They brought in Tanner Mordecai last year because they didn't draft a quarterback and they still needed to bring in a quarterback. So they do this all the time. I'm not acting like this is some kind of unique once in a million situation. So, but I want to know, like, what do you think? Why the 49ers did this? Because there are a lot of reasons why teams still draft 7th round quarterbacks. The relative value of a quarterback position, for one, even a 7th rounder, can be huge compared to other positions. So low risk, high upside. I kind of talked about that earlier. 7th round hits are very hard, but Brock Purdy is special because it doesn't happen all the time, right? So taking a shot at these guys and potentially even having them become future starters or future, backups, that's huge value as a team. Even if he isn't playing for your team, that's trade value. That's value that teams might want. For example, maybe not a perfect example because this is a 6th rounder, but you've got Tom Brady, of course. You also have like the Denver Broncos had Trevor Siemian. Like, these are guys that are late round draft picks that turn out to bring some kind of value to the club because of the position. Now, forget about Tom Brady for a second because he's an anomaly, okay? But Trevor Siemian's a good example of a team, a player that brings value to the team, who can be trade value, who can be other things, just because he's a quarterback and because he has a little bit of experience, ends up becoming a starter for the Denver Broncos. Didn't really go super well for him, if I remember correctly, but still, the value is still there, right? So same kind of deal here with the 49ers, knowing that you're bringing somebody in who could be a huge value to you, even if you never have to have him play in your colors on a Sunday. You had 11 picks in this draft, okay? So that's another reason for me that I think the 49ers are willing to go and take a quarterback, because what does that tell you? If they genuinely needed that 7th round pick to fill an offensive line hole, that tells me they should have filled that hole earlier in the draft. If you're really drafting for need so badly that your 11 picks and not a single one of them can go toward a quarterback, not even in the 7th round, then I sort of feel like you've made a lot more bigger mistakes than anyone cares to admit. So I feel like this is not a huge stretch. I know a lot of people are like annoyed by this pick, and I get it. Like, I get what you're saying. You want to keep drafting for need, but at the same time, part of the value of having 11 picks is being able to bring in other guys, like a quarterback who could be huge value down the line. And then, of course, there's the obvious, should anything ever happen to Brock Purdy? He's carried injuries every single year. 2023 didn't look like he carried injuries, right? He didn't miss games because of injuries. However, Brock Purdy was injured from the 2022 season, obviously, and he carried that injury into the 2023 season. We later found out it took him pretty much to Thanksgiving before he was actually starting to feel good with that throwing arm. So if something were to happen to Brock Purdy, and those newer NFL practice squad rules come into favor for you as well, because you can have a guy on the practice squad that, you can bring up on game day as your QB3 or as your QB2 in a certain situation. And then finally, if Purdy stays healthy, okay, Mac Jones is going to, of course, be taking his QB school medicine with the 49ers, with Shanahan, and he's going to be trying to write his own Sam Darnold story. So he's not going to stick around forever if Brock Purdy can maintain the certain level of play that we've seen from him. And if Brock Purdy can continue to be healthy, relatively healthy, then, Mac Jones is going to be on his way out too. So you've got a guy here who's on a rookie contract that, or presumably would be on a rookie contract, has to make the team. That has to happen, of course, but you'd like to think they like his chances over Tanner Mordecai to make the team. They're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks, and so it's going to be one of those 2 guys, Tanner Mordecai, or it's going to be Curtis Rourke. I'd like to think that they wouldn't have drafted him if they didn't think that he had a good shot of pushing Tanner Mordecai out. We'll have to wait and see how that goes, of course, but they are always going to get quarterback bodies in for camp, and the potential high upside, if this all works out, is massive for this particular position. So after it's all said and done, having thought about both sides, having weighed the options, would I have loved the 49ers to draft for need every single round and have the quote-unquote perfect draft? No, don't follow my advice for the perfect draft. Please, I am not a general manager. You should not take my opinions that heavily to draft that way. And I know that a lot of you did not want to see the 49ers draft a quarterback, but I'm actually really good with this. I think the value, the payoff for a guy like this, should he be as good as Greg Cosell thinks he could be in this system, could be a huge value, a huge benefit to the 49ers long-term, even if he's throwing the ball for another team down the line. I think this is a great move by the 49ers, and I'm positive about it. Speaking of great move for the 49ers, there's a lot of guys they brought in, this one being one of them, and in 4 days, rookie minicamp is about to happen. I think it's 4 days. It's something like 4 days, and I'm excited about it. Can't wait to be talking about it. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all of that. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend and had a great start to your week.